Welcome back to the B&M English podcast. Today, we are discussing a place where many of us spend a lot of our time, the office. Or, more specifically, how to handle those small, awkward mistakes we all make at work. Mary, have you ever had a completely perfect day at a job where nothing went wrong?
Hello, everyone. To answer your question, Bruno, no. I do not think a completely perfect day exists. We are human, so we make mistakes. It is just part of learning and growing. Why do you ask? Did something happen?
Well, I was thinking about my very first day at my old office job. I wanted to look very professional, you know? I bought a new shirt, I carried a nice bag, and of course, I bought a very large iced latte before entering the building.
That sounds like a good start. A large coffee is always a good idea for the first day.
It was a good idea until I walked into the meeting room. My new manager asked me to hand him a stack of important printed documents. They were the weekly financial reports. As I reached across the table, my elbow hit my iced latte. It did not just spill a little. It completely soaked every single page of the reports. The paper turned completely brown.
Oh no, Bruno. That sounds quite stressful for a first day. What did you do?
I just stood there. I looked at the wet paper, then I looked at my manager. In a very quiet voice, I said, "I am so sorry. I can print those again." He just looked at me, blinked, and said, "Don't worry about it. It happens."
That was a very kind manager. And that phrase, "don't worry about it," is the perfect way to reply when someone makes a small mistake. It means the problem is not a big deal. It tells the other person to relax. Yes, it saved my day. But my new shirt was not so lucky. It had coffee stains for the rest of the afternoon. So, Bruno, now that your shirt is clean and your coffee is safe, let us look at another common workplace situation, dealing with time and scheduling mistakes. This is something that happens to everyone, even people who love to plan everything.
Are you talking about yourself, Mary? Because I remember a story you told me about your early days as an English teacher. Something about a calendar mix-up?
Yes, you have a very good memory. When I first started teaching at a language school, I was very nervous. I wanted to impress my director. One Monday morning, I scheduled a feedback meeting with a student at 10 o'clock. Then, a few minutes later, a colleague asked to meet with me to discuss a new lesson plan. I said yes, and I wrote it down for 10 o'clock too.
That sounds like a double booking. Two different people, same time, same room. How did you handle it when they both arrived?
Well, my heart started beating a little fast, but I kept my voice calm. I looked at my colleague and said, "My apologies. I didn't mean to create a conflict, but I actually have a student meeting right now. Can we reschedule for 11?
That was a very smooth way to handle it. You used the phrase, "my apologies." That is a slightly formal but very polite way to say sorry in an office. It sounds more professional than just saying, "Oh, my bad."
Exactly. And notice how I added, "I didn't mean to." This shows that the mistake was an accident. It tells the other person that you respect their time, but a small human error happened. My colleague was very nice about it. She smiled and said, "No problem at all. See you at 11.
See, if that was me, I would just tell them both to sit down and teach them both at the same time. Maximum efficiency.
I do not think my student would enjoy learning English grammar while my colleague discussed budget planning, Bruno. But the key here is to offer a quick solution. When you make a mistake, do not just apologize. Say, "Let me fix that," and give a new option right away.
Okay, Mary. We talked about coffee spills and double booking meetings. But what about digital mistakes? You know, the kind of mistake you make with a smartphone or a computer while sitting at your desk. I think those can actually feel much worse because they happen so fast.
Oh, definitely, Bruno. Digital slip-ups are incredibly common now. It is so easy to press one wrong button and send something to the wrong place before you can even think about it. Do you have a personal story about a digital mistake?
I do, actually. It happened a few months ago. I was working on a project report on my laptop. I finished it late at night, and I wanted to email it to my close colleague, an editor named Alex, to get his opinion before the morning. I quickly typed A in the email box, clicked the first name that appeared, attached the file, and hit send.
Let me guess, Bruno. It did not go to Alex the editor.
No, it did not. The first name in my email list was actually Arthur. Arthur is the senior director of the entire company. And to make things worse, I typed a very casual subject line. It just said, "Hey, look at this mess and tell me if it makes any sense." I realized my mistake exactly 1 second after I clicked the send button.
Oh, Bruno. Sending a casual message with the word mess to the senior director sounds very awkward. How did you feel at that moment?
I felt completely frozen. My face felt very warm, but I knew I had to fix it quickly. I did not want him to open the email in the morning and think I was being unprofessional or rude, so I immediately wrote a second email to him.
That was a smart decision. Communication is always the best way to fix a misunderstanding. What did you write in that second email?
I kept it short and very polite. I wrote, "Dear Arthur, please disregard my previous email. It was sent to you by mistake. I apologize for any inconvenience." I used the word disregard. It is a great office word that simply means please ignore this or do not read this.
That is an excellent word for our listeners to learn. Disregard. It sounds very professional. And this brings us to today's fluency tip. When we make a mistake at work, we can use softeners to make our explanations sound less defensive and more polite. Words like actually and just are perfect for this.
Right. Instead of saying, "I made an error," you can say, "I actually sent that by mistake," or "I just wanted to update you on a small change." It sounds much gentler.
It is amazing how much a few simple words can change a stressful situation at work. When you use phrases like, "Don't worry about it," "My apologies," or "Please disregard," you show that you are professional and calm.
Exactly. Mistakes are going to happen, especially when you are adjusting to a new environment or typing quickly at night. The important thing is to address it softly and keep moving forward.
Well said, Bruno. Now, let us move on to today's language challenge for our listeners. We want to hear from you. Think about a small mistake you made at work or school recently. How did you handle it?
Or, if you want, you can just tell us if you have ever spilled an entire iced coffee on important documents, like I did. I am still waiting to hear if anyone can beat that story.
Let us hope not, Bruno. Listeners, try to write your response in the comments below using at least one phrase we practiced today. You can use actually, just, or my apologies.
We will be reading your comments and giving feedback. Thank you for listening to this episode of the B&M English Podcast. Stay calm, keep practicing, and we will see you in the next session.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful and stress-free week at work.